And there are some things that God is asking from us. We constantly ask God for things, but how many of you know there are some things that God is asking from us? We tell God, use me, mold me, heal me, but we fight God. Galatians 2:20 says our old self is crucified with Christ. No longer I who live, but what? Christ in me. So understand that your yes, how many of you gave God a yes? You said, yes, God. Whatever you want me to do, yes, God. Use me, yes, God. You need to understand that your yes gave God permission, because we just said it's not I who live, right? It's Christ who lives in me. Your yes give God's permission to call out the Christ in you. Your yes gave God permission to call out the Christ-like characteristics that are in you that are hiding behind your fleshly characteristics. So God's got to do some things to move the fleshly characteristics out the way so the Christ-like characteristics can come forward. And so we want to be like Christ, but do you realize that Christ was set apart? Christ was different, y'all. Many of you are trying so hard to fit in, but God has called you to stand out. Christ was different. Christ was also misunderstood. So get over yourself, because you want to be like Christ. You're going to be grossly misunderstood. And there were many times as Christ was being misunderstood, they wanted him to explain himself, and he didn't say a word. Some of you need to stop trying to explain yourself. You need to stop trying to convince others of what God told you. Christ knew what God said, and God said it, and that settled it. You know what God said. That needs to be settled with you. And yes, Christ was persecuted. That's where we need to put on our big girl panties, because you are going to face persecution. And though the persecution doesn't come in the form of the physical, most times it comes in the emotional. Why? Because like Sister Denise said, many of us, our identity is in other people. And so when other people reject us or they don't understand, we feel persecuted. And through that process, there is a death that must take place. You see, the caterpillar, he knows that he has to die for the butterfly to live. He knows it's a process, and so he surrenders to that tough process.